The goal of this video is to help you learn how to determine if two fractions are equivalent by using pictures and multiplication. The word equivalent means equal, so two fractions that are equivalent are describing equal amounts of a whole. Let's look at two fractions. Right now you can see that I've colored in to show 1/4 and 2/8. Color in the fractions on your paper as well and write the fractions down below the pictures. You can see that the two fractions are equivalent or equal. Even though the numerator and denominator are different numbers, they represent the same shaded part of the whole. So let's look at the rectangle that shows 1/4. Right now the rectangle is divided into 4 equal parts with one part shaded in to show 1/4. Let's add a line to this rectangle to divide it into 8 equal parts instead of 4. Now it's divided into 8 parts instead of 4, and we have 2 parts shaded in instead of 1. But the amount that is shaded in did not change. Remember that the bigger the denominator, the smaller the parts. We can also use equations to show equivalent fractions. So we're going to look at how we can use multiplication to help us. To do this, we would multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. That's really important. You have to keep the numbers the same. So if we multiply both parts of our fraction by 2, it will make an equivalent fraction. So 1 times 2 equals 2, and 4 times 2 equals 8. So if we multiply 1/4 times 2, we get 2/8. That gives us the fraction 2/8. This is what we were doing when we changed our picture from 1/4 to 2/8. We doubled the numerator and the denominator. Let's look at another example. So let's say we want to find another fraction that's equivalent to 1/4. So I can change the amount of pieces I've divided that rectangle into. So if we look at this picture here on the right, we can see that the rectangle has stayed the same size, but now it's divided into 16 equal parts instead of 4 equal parts. But I can still shade in the top so that all 3 of these are showing the same amount. But my new fraction is 4, because I have 4 that are shaded in, out of 16. So again, I've taken the same rectangle, but now I've divided it into 16 equal parts, and I have 4 shaded. We can show that with multiplication as well. Remember, when you're finding equivalent fractions, you have to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same thing. So before we multiplied both of them by 2, now we're going to multiply both of them by 4. 1 times 4 equals 4, and 4 times 4 equals 16. So now we have another equivalent fraction. So we can say that 1/4, 2/8, and 4/16 are all equivalent or equal. The most important thing to remember about equivalent fractions is that you have to multiply by the numerator and the denominator by the same thing. So I like to say whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. You can also divide to find equivalent fractions. So if I take 2/8, I can divide it by 2 over 2 to get back to 1/4. It works the same way. It's just whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 2 divided by 2 is 1.